and these other supergalaxies will be what move beyond our visible range. As such, only our ball-like supergalaxy will be visible to future astronomers. As you can see here, only this galaxy is visible, and beyond that is darkness. There will be no evidence to suggest to future astronomers that anything exists beyond the void of our observable universe, and the idea of an expanding universe will only survive in archives, leading present cosmologists to fear that future astronomers will think us mistaken, implying that our understanding of the universe is governed by when in its chronology we exist to observe it. Eventually it will destroy its own evidence. We have several hundred billions of years to gather as much data as we can, but given the course of humanity now, who knows how long we'll be around. Ultimately, the universe will go entirely black for Earth. Once the stars in our galaxy die, we will be left in the dark. Finally, stars everywhere will die, and the universe fades to black. Lastly, the Big Bang Theory has deeply existential ramifications by inexorably pushing mankind's view of self to an increasingly small, diminishing, and unremarkable place. Modern philosophers have pointed out that the entire modern intellectual trajectory, beginning with Edwin, Hubble, Einstein, and the Big Bang Theory, have sustained and magnified the original Copernican insight, thereby leading to radically estranged and distinct human consciousness. As the human mind progressively emancipates itself in being able to further and further explain the universe, it has also progressively relativized itself and inwardly isolated itself from the world that it seeks to comprehend. The more we know about the universe, the more we know that we're relatively small and insignificant, and by no means the center of anything. The fact that Earth and humanity have become more and more displaced from an absolute cosmic center, along with the pervasive disenchantment of the material universe, have come to epitomize humankind's underlying sense of disorientation and alienation. To Richard Tarnas, the primordial worldview consisted of a greater world with the self as a large integrated part, as indicated by the dashed line. The modern worldview, however, consists of an infinitesimally small and peripheral self in a vast, purposeless universe. He mentions purposeless because, in terms of physics, the second law of thermodynamics states that the universe is becoming more and more chaotic. There's no order being restored. As time goes on, chaos can only ensue. As such, Tarnas believes that the only meaning that mankind will be able to find in the universe in the future is the meaning that we create for it. Stephen Weinberg supports this existentialist point in saying of all of modern cosmology, the more the universe seems comprehensible, the more it also seems entirely pointless. As time goes on, astronomers have felt it important to emphasize what they call the anthropic principle, which is the idea that all cosmological models must support the existence of humanity. As models become more and more complicated, the argument for humanity's appearance, for humanity's existence, also becomes more and more complicated. As such, the most complicated arguments probably need to be ignored because the argument for creating humanity is practically impossible. To end, I'd like to read a quotation from Kepler, which I think is indicative of his quest for the kingdom. Now, since the dawn 18 months ago, since the broad daylight 3 months ago, and since a few days ago, when the full sun illuminated my wonderful speculations, nothing holds me back. I yield freely to the sacred frenzy. I dare frankly to confess that I have stolen the golden vessels of the Egyptians to build a tabernacle for my God that is far from the bounds of Egypt. If you pardon me, I shall rejoice. If you reproach me, I shall endure. The die is cast, and I am writing the book. It could be read either now or by posterity, it matters not. It can wait a century for a reader, as God himself has waited 6,000 years for a true witness to the inner workings of the universe. Ultimately, what I gained most from this project was that whether you're Einstein, Kepler, Rahe, or Aristotle, everything that you're looking for begins with a simple look into the night sky. Thank you.
That as we learn more and more about those first few seconds of the Big Bang, everything will be explainable. In your readings, did you find anyone with any speculation about how the hell it got there?
Honestly, I didn't encounter much because getting too much into philosophy sort of expanded my topic too much. But generally what I saw was that those who still wish to believe in a God as a creator of the universe are generally deists that thought that God sort of created the universe and then left it to be. But as for scientists claiming that they believe that the universe will eventually be entirely explainable, was mainly speculation, and most scientists refuse to offer any explanation as to what that initial first cause was, which is why, like I said, they dislike it so much.
Did your research touch upon parallel universes at all?
Parallel universes. I was certainly tempted to look into that, but the main reason being, while it's certainly fascinating philosophically, I decided to stick with cosmological models that were, for the most part, historically accepted. As for now, that was sort of what I was referring to in modern cosmological models becoming increasingly complex, increasingly complicated. You need to have a higher understanding of mathematics and physics to understand almost any of them. And as such, I sort of left that alone as sort of a theoretical model that thus far I didn't see to have any real effects over society at large, and so I felt that I didn't need to look into it. Yes?
There are observations and speculations that suggest that the majority of the mass of the universe is dark matter, but is not observable. It seems to me that would support the basic ideas of what you said. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, scientists have sort of discovered that the universe, the mass and energy that we can directly observe doesn't account for how fast the universe is itself, the fact that it's expanding outward faster and faster. And so dark energy, dark matter, is what we believe to be Einstein's cosmological constant. We think that dark energy is a force that opposes the contracting force of gravity and is in fact what is pushing the universe outwards. Beyond that, I didn't really garner much in terms of philosophical significance of that.
But doesn't it sort of suggest that the observable universe is a bit of an entertaining sideshow? I mean, entertaining, but it's a minority of what the universe actually is.
Yeah.
Most of it is not anything we observe. So
Right. I mean, empty space is 99.9% empty space. And the fact that our observable universe is, 13.8 billion light years wide, we have no idea what's beyond that. We have no idea what's already expanded beyond that. We have no idea how large the greater universe is beyond that. And so, ultimately, our local universe has to be the best structure we have, because there's nothing else. Yeah.
Did you study whether or not space is Euclidean or has some type of curvature?
No, I briefly touched on it in looking at the modern Big Bang Theory as Einstein proposed the space-time theory, that space and time are integrated in one and the same, and that they can be curved one and the same. That's about all I looked into. I didn't really look into geometry much beyond that. Yeah.
Can you comment at all, as our knowledge has become more and more scientific, the church's role?
Right now, as far as my research tells me, the Roman Catholic Church entirely accepts the Big Bang model. They think that it's absolute scientific fact. And I actually read a very interesting talk from the head of the Vatican Observatory, whose name was Dr. Coyne, I believe. I didn't use it much here, but he made an interesting argument for how, rather than pushing God to a starting role, but rather than that being degrading to God himself, he feels that in clinging to God as intervening in every day-to-day life and intervening